beat loud and remember the exact moment my world shifted. The cold marble of their mansion's hallway pressed against my skin, the echo of my own heartbeat loud in my ears. I wasn't prepared for what I was about to hear. Whispers floated from behind polished doors, sharp and cruel, slicing through the air like knives. My relatives were plotting, cutting Aunt Linda off financially. Their eyes, bright with judgment, flicked toward her like predators circling a wounded animal. Aunt Linda, usually the epitome of composure, froze. She clutched her purse tightly, knuckles white, as if it could anchor her in the storm that was about to hit. Her eyes shimmered with shock, glistening like a fragile lake in moonlight. I could feel the sting of betrayal clawing at me as the patriarch of the family stepped forward, declaring the decision publicly at dinner. Laughter rippled across the room, hollow and cruel, echoing around her humiliation, filling every corner with suffocating tension. The scent of expensive wine and polished wood assaulted my senses, a decadent contrast to the moral decay unfolding before us. Aunt Linda tried to speak, her voice trembling, a soft plea for understanding, but it was silenced by my cousin's sharp scoff, drowning her words in ridicule. My stomach turned as I watched her pride crumble. Servants averted their eyes, and I could see the invisible weight of judgment pressing down on her shoulders. Subtle smirks flitted across faces, whispered taunts of, "She'll be back begging soon," each word a blade cutting deeper into her dignity. Her hands trembled uncontrollably, betraying the storm beneath her calm exterior, and I knew tears were ready to spill. I reached for her hand, gripping it tightly, sharing the raw vulnerability that filled the space between us. In that moment, a seed of rebellion was planted, not just in her, but in me as well. The sudden shatter of a crystal glass echoed through the room, mirroring the chaos in her heart. Every glance from the family pierced through us, a dagger twisting deeper into the wound of exclusion. I could feel the unspoken agreement hanging in the air. She was powerless now, stripped of money, influence, and the respect she deserved. The chandelier above cast cold, sharp light across her face, highlighting every line of shock and humiliation. And in that light, I realized the truth of what this was. It wasn't just about money. This was a declaration of control, a silent assertion of dominance over her life. But I also felt something else rising, a quiet fire that neither judgment nor wealth could extinguish. That fire would grow, and one day it would burn brighter than their arrogance ever imagined. Aunt Linda's voice trembled slightly as she began to recount her youth, but there was a quiet fire beneath it, a raw honesty that cut through the air. "I worked 3 jobs," she said, "just to send my brother to college. No one ever thanked me. No one ever even noticed." I could hear the weight of unacknowledged sacrifice in every syllable, a life of giving that had left invisible scars. Her eyes darkened as memories surfaced, the lost engagement that had promised love but ended in betrayal, the abandoned dreams of traveling the world, of seeing sunsets in places she had only imagined. The lingering pain beneath her composed exterior was palpable, a shadow she had carried silently for decades. She spoke of her in-laws, voices sharp and cold, subtly manipulating her finances, controlling every step she took with veiled threats and quiet intimidation. I could feel the tension of those invisible chains, the suffocating weight of being watched, judged, and restrained. Aunt Linda's generosity had been exploited too. She had once lent a fortune to a family business, a gesture of trust that was weaponized against her, twisted into a tool for humiliation. Even now she laughed softly, but it was a hollow sound, hiding decades of quiet humiliation and silenced ambition. I pictured her in the kitchen late at night, tears sliding down her cheeks as she wiped them on a dish towel, the comforting aroma of roasted coffee mingling with the sting of loneliness. The quiet betrayal of a trusted financial advisor had left her bank accounts exposed, a wound that no one saw but that she carried every day. She confided how invisible she had felt at family gatherings, always overlooked, mocked for her supposed lack of savvy. Childhood lessons of resilience had been cruelly tested by adults who took pleasure in her quiet strength. Yet in that suffering, something hardened inside her. "I promised myself," she whispered, eyes narrowing, "I would never be powerless again." I could feel it, the determination she had internalized, shaping her into something formidable, a force invisible but unmistakably present. Her quiet strength had always been a shield, protecting her from the world's cruelty. But now I could sense the shift, the way it was ready to transform into something far more dangerous. Her shield was becoming a sword, and the storm that had long been gathering within her was finally poised to strike. Aunt Linda began quietly rebuilding her life, moving with a precision that was almost imperceptible. She took stock of every asset she still controlled, cataloged every skill she had honed over the years, and reached out to every connection she could reclaim. Each step was deliberate, each decision a silent declaration. She would not be defeated. The family noticed her absence at events, their whispers growing louder, edged with malice. "She won't last a month," one cousin muttered, eyes flicking toward her empty chair as if daring her to fail. Their doubt fueled her, sharpening her resolve with every snide remark. Aunt Linda signed new contracts, leveraging years of experience to build her own consulting business. Each small victory stacked silently, almost unnoticed by the outside world, but within her it was a mountain rising from the ashes of humiliation. I watched her late at night, the glow of spreadsheets reflecting off her determined eyes as she spoke softly into the phone, negotiating, planning, strategizing. Her resolve grew with every call, every carefully plotted step forward. Tension escalated as my relatives attempted to sabotage her progress. Lies were spread, clients intercepted, online profiles mocked. But Aunt Linda adapted, learning every loophole, mastering the intricacies of digital finance, slowly, methodically regaining control. The first hint of her revenge appeared subtly. A client who had abandoned her family business returned, impressed by her unwavering determination. I could see the anger that had simmered beneath years of humiliation transforming into calculated patience, every insult stored away like ammunition. She surrounded herself with a discreet lawyer, a trusted mentor, and loyal allies, carefully laying the foundation for her resurgence. From my perspective, it was awe-inspiring, a quiet, methodical revenge, a symphony of strategy rather than chaos. Every family call she ignored was a small victory. Every glance of doubt she provoked became ammunition. She refused to crumble emotionally, transforming the weight of past humiliation into a public display of endurance. I felt the tension in the air tighten with each passing day, the threads of her counterattack weaving themselves into an invisible web that the family had no idea was closing around them. And in that quiet, relentless preparation, I sensed the storm she had long held inside finally preparing to strike. The phone rang late one evening, sharp and insistent, and Aunt Linda answered with that quiet poise that always masked storms. On the other end was a former mentor, their voice carrying urgency. Hidden financial assets, ones the family had completely overlooked, were revealed in meticulous detail. The revelation hit like lightning, a sudden shift in the balance of power. I saw her eyes ignite with a dangerous, restrained fire, a spark that made the air around her feel charged. The balance of control subtly tilted, though the family remained blissfully unaware. They continued to underestimate her, blind to the allies she had quietly gathered, allies who knew secrets the family wished buried. Then came the shocking truth. A cousin had embezzled funds, and for years Aunt Linda had been blamed. I watched her confront this privately, fury and vindication mingling in a controlled, deadly calm. Every ounce of her restrained anger was deliberate, every pulse of indignation turned into purpose. With precise determination, she discovered a legal loophole that allowed her to reclaim mismanaged investments from the past. It was a crack in their armor, and she exploited it without hesitation. From there, she began planting the seeds of a public reckoning, carefully orchestrating appearances and meetings, each move calculated to expose without overtly revealing her hand. I watched her recalibrate her strategy constantly, balancing public humility with private dominance, projecting calm while the storm of her plan brewed beneath. Her first public sign of power came subtly. She attended a gala, unnoticed by most, yet already pulling strings behind the scenes with quiet, deliberate precision. Her demeanor projected fragility, soft smiles and measured words masking the deadly strategy she wielded silently. I felt the emotional weight shift in the room. She was no longer the victim, no longer powerless. Every attempt the family made to humiliate her was met with composed deflection, a silent infuriation that they could neither comprehend nor counter. And in that moment, I realized this was not revenge yet. This was reclamation. Aunt Linda was reclaiming her autonomy, recalibrating her presence, and preparing the family for a reckoning they had no idea was coming. The quiet force she had become was gathering momentum, invisible but unstoppable, and I could feel it building like a storm ready to break. Aunt Linda launched her public consultancy firm with a precision that left no room for doubt. Contracts the family had once coveted were now hers. Her reputation soaring with each deal signed, each client impressed by her unshakable professionalism. The family, desperate to regain control, attempted to sabotage her events, spreading rumors and whispering lies. But Aunt Linda turned every setback into an opportunity, each failed attempt at humiliation becoming a marketing win. A public display of her resilience that left the family floundering in embarrassment. She orchestrated a gala with meticulous care, leaking court filings strategically to subtly expose their financial manipulations. The room was thick with tension as whispers swirled, every subtle revelation landing like a quiet explosion in their carefully maintained facades. The legal confrontation came swiftly. The cousin who had embezzled funds was caught red-handed. Aunt Linda's credibility now untouchable, her name untarnished by the years of deceit that had once tried to bury her. The emotional showdown unfolded at a family dinner, a carefully staged setting where Aunt Linda presented her achievements with quiet, almost cruel precision. Each word, each detail of her triumph subtly humiliated the very relatives who had mocked her for so long. Clients and social circles publicly praised her resilience, showering her with recognition, while the relatives' whispers dissolved into embarrassed silence, powerless against the tide of truth she had orchestrated. Aunt Linda's composed smile masked the deep satisfaction of justice finally served. I could hear her thoughts as if whispered inside her own mind. The shift from powerless to untouchable was intoxicating, each calculated move a small thrill of vindication. Public accolades followed, awards, media mentions, recognition of her professional brilliance, and she bore them with effortless dignity. Every past insult reflected back on the family like a mirror, their arrogance rebounding against them. The final confrontation occurred in private, at a quiet dinner. She outlined their past deceit calmly, almost casually, while their faces blanched with realization, the truth settling like a stone in their chests. Every move Aunt Linda had made was cinematic, layered, emotionally charged. Every humiliation they had inflicted returned to them tenfold. In the end, the tables had turned completely, and I watched in awe as the woman who had been silenced and dismissed now stood untouchable, her revenge not loud but absolute. Aunt Linda's life finally settled into a rhythm of stability. Her wealth restored, her influence undeniable. The family had no choice but to acknowledge her. I watched her mornings, sunlight spilling through the window, the aroma of coffee drifting softly through the kitchen, a simple, quiet triumph over the chaos that had once consumed her. She began reconnecting with old friends, repairing the social bonds fractured by years of betrayal and manipulation. Legal settlements concluded. Family members faced the consequences of their past actions, their power stripped while hers solidified. In the quiet moments, Aunt Linda reflected on her personal growth. Strength, independence, and an emotional resilience forged in fire now defined her, each scar a testament to her endurance. Public recognition flowed, awards, media mentions, but it was the private satisfaction that lingered, revenge complete and dignity intact. She extended her wisdom outward, mentoring younger women, sharing lessons without a trace of bitterness, embodying empowerment in its purest form. I felt a subtle emotional closure. The sting of past betrayals softened, replaced with pride, mastery, and an unshakable calm. Family attempts at reconciliation were met with cautious politeness, boundaries firmly drawn, respect earned through undeniable achievement. I sensed the lingering tension transform into acknowledgement, unspoken yet clear. Every interaction now carried her authority, a quiet, undeniable ripple of power that moved through rooms, through conversations, through the very air. Aunt Linda was no longer simply surviving. She was sovereign, her triumph a silent, radiant force that left everyone around her aware that she had risen, untouchable and whole. Humiliation can break someone, I tell you, but resilience has a way of rebuilding stronger than anyone expects. Aunt Linda's journey isn't just a story. It's cinematic, emotional, deeply human, and it connects with the core of what we all feel when life tries to crush us. There are lessons here. Lessons in patience, in strategy, in valuing yourself, and in reclaiming dignity after betrayal. Watching her rise from nothing changed me. Seeing her fight, seeing her transform humiliation into triumph, left an imprint I can't forget. I urge you to hold on to that truth, to subscribe because there are more real stories of hidden strength, justice, and unexpected power waiting to be told. Consider your own battles, the public perception versus the private truth. Sometimes what seems like weakness is a storm waiting to rise. Picture it with me. Empty hallways once filled with judgment, now silent, echoing her victory. Feel the emotional weight. Victory isn't just revenge. It's reclaiming self, power, and peace. And always remember, behind every story of betrayal lies a hidden force. Quiet, patient, ready to strike when the time is right. The final image lingers. Aunt Linda standing at a sunlit window, calm, composed, untouchable. Her narrative complete, her strength undeniable, leaving anyone who witnesses it inspired, awed, and believing in the power of resilience.